Welcome back to Inside the Ropes with Coach Mario. Coach Mario, owner and head coach of Warriors Pride Boxing Academy here in Miami, Florida. Happy Sunday, guys. Happy Sunday. Happy blessed day. Today we're diving into one of the most intense and storied rivalries in boxing history, Puerto Rico versus Mexico. These two nations have produced some of the most fearless, talented, and legendary fighters the sports have ever seen. Despite Puerto Rico being about 100 times smaller than Mexico, it stands out as the pound-for-pound king, boasting more boxing champions per capita than any other country in the world. What drives these two nations to produce such relentless warriors? What's in the cultural makeup that makes them such powerful entities in the sport of boxing? Let's break it all down. Section 1. The rivalry begins. The Puerto Rico versus Mexico rivalry is more than just a sports competition. It's a clash of cultures, pride and machismo. These two countries have a deep respect for each other, but when it comes to boxing, the gloves are off and national pride is on the line. This rivalry dates back to the early 20th century and has only grown stronger over the decades. Some of the most iconic bouts in boxing history have featured Puerto Rican and Mexican fighters facing off in the ring. Names like Julio Cesar Chavez, Wilfredo Gomez, Felicito Trinidad, Salvador Sanchez are synonymous with this rivalry. Each fight is more than just a bout. It's a battle for national honor. Section 2. Differences and similarities in fighting styles. When we talk about Puerto Rican and Mexican fighters, we're looking at two distinct yet equally effective boxing styles, shaped by the cultures and the histories of these nations. Mexican style. Mexican fighters are known for their aggressive come-forward style. They're warriors who take pride in their ability to absorb punishment and keep moving forward. Their style is about breaking down opponents with relentless pressure, body shots, and a high-volume attack. This style embodies the concept of Mexican machismo, where showing heart, courage, and never backing down are as important as winning the fight. Puerto Rican style. Puerto Rican fighters, on the other hand, often showcase a more tactical and versatile style. They're known for their speed, footwork, and technical skills, often setting up their punches with a sharp jab and precise combinations. However, don't let the finesse fool you. Puerto Rican fighters possess incredible power and aren't afraid to mix it up when necessary. Their style is a blend of technique and aggression, making them dangerous in every aspect of the fight. Despite these differences, both Mexican and Puerto Rican fighters share a common trait. They fight with heart. Their desire to win for their country and prove their toughness is what makes this rivalry so electrifying. Section 3. Latino Machismo, National Pride and Fanatic Support. The concept of machismo runs deep in both Mexican and Puerto Rican cultures. In boxing, it's more than just toughness. It's about pride, honor, and the refusal to back down. For both nations, boxing is a way to prove not just individual strength, but the strength of their people. In Mexico, boxing is a way of life. Fighters grow up to idolizing legends like Chavez, Barrera, Marquez, and all the other greats, aiming to embody the same spirit and resilience. The same is true in Puerto Rico, where boxing is the national sport, and fighters like Gomez, Trinidad, and Cotto are seen as heroes. But it's not just the fighters who carry this pride, it's the fans too. In both Puerto Rico and Mexico, boxing fans are fanatical in their support of these fighters. They don't just watch the fights, they live and breathe them. When one of their champions returns home after a big win, it's as if the entire country stops to celebrate. These fighters are considered heroes, embodying the hopes and dreams of their people. Take, for example, the legendary reception Felicito Trinidad received after defeating Oscar de la Hoya in 1999. Thousands of Puerto Ricans flooded the streets, and the scene at the airport was nothing short of chaotic as fans welcomed their hero home. There was a massive parade with the caravan following Trinidad from the airport, celebrating his victory as if the entire island had won. This kind of support is unmatched and it's a testament to the cultural significance of boxing in both Puerto Rico and Mexico. In these countries, fighters don't just represent themselves, they represent the entire nation, and the fans reward them with an outpouring of love and respect. I was there actually, guys. I was in Puerto Rico, living in Puerto Rico when Tito beat Oscar de la Hoya. And I know it's controversial. A lot of people said that De La Hoya won. I really don't think so. Tito took the most important rounds, the championship rounds, and De La Hoya just started running as soon as he got hit hard by Tito Trinidad. But I remember watching that fight in Humacao, and we had a big screen TV, and the windows of our living room were open, and they faced the street, and every kid in the neighborhood. They just, because we had to pay for pay-per-view, I don't remember how much it was, but every kid in the neighborhood where you could see their faces through the windows. I mean, our whole front house was full of kids and people watching the fight from the street as we were watching them from the living room. We had a great gathering of friends and whatnot, and this was one hell of an experience, man. I remember my heart going up over 100 beats a minute, just waiting for this fight the decision to be called for Tito Trinidad. And man, I was nervous a little bit there. I had thought that maybe they might give it to Oscar de la Hoya. It was a very close fight. There was never a rematch, but I'm telling you, this was one of those legendary fights. This was really Puerto Rico versus Mexico. Section 4, legendary fights. This rivalry has produced some of the most unforgettable fights in boxing history. Let's take a look at few that stand out. Wilfredo Gomez versus Salvador Sanchez, 1981. This is perhaps the most iconic bout of the Puerto Rico-Mexico rivalry. Gomez, the undefeated Puerto Rican knockout artist, moved up in weight to challenge the legendary Mexican champion Sanchez. It was a brutal and intense fight, with Sanchez ultimately winning by TKO in the 8th round, solidifying his legacy as one of the greatest. Julio Cesar Chavez versus Hector Macho Camacho. Chavez, pride of Mexico, faced off against Camacho, the flashy and brash Puerto Rican star. Chavez dominated his fight by winning a unanimous decision and proving that his superiority in a bout that was as much about national pride as it was about boxing skill. And we just spoke about Felix Trinidad versus Oscar de la Hoya. That was in 1999. It was billed as the fight of the millennium. This clash between Puerto Rico's Trinidad and Mexico's De La Hoya was a classic showdown. It was a chess match, with Trinidad power facing off against De La Hoya's speed and skill. Trinidad won by a controversial majority decision, but the fight remains one of the most talked about in the history of this rivalry. These fights are more than just battles in the ring. They're milestones in the history of Puerto Rico and Mexico, each one adding a new chapter to the legacy of this rivalry. I'm also going to mention Miguel Cotto versus Antonio Margarito 1 and 2. Chini Margarito in fight number 1, where we used some wraps that were illegal. I believe there was some kind of tape or something like a cast that he was wearing under his gloves. He destroyed Cotto in that first fight, stopping him. It was the first defeat for Cotto's career. And then the payback was beautiful, guys. The ass beating that Cotto gave Margarito. But that was one of the other fights that I can tell you, it was a classic Puerto Rico versus Mexico. Margarito was a beast, and Cotto with his finesse and power punching ability and moving around the ring, and skill level was way too much for Margarito in both fights. If Margarito would not have used those wraps, that cast that he used, some kind of composite he was using with those wraps, I believe the first fight would have ended the same way. But let's continue. Section 5, Puerto Rico's pound-for-pound dominance. Despite being 100 times smaller than Mexico, Puerto Rico has produced more boxing champions per capita than any other country. How is this possible? Puerto Rico's boxing culture is deeply rooted in its history and identity. For Puerto Ricans, boxing isn't just a sport, it's a way to rise above adversity and make a name for oneself. The island's fighters often come from tough backgrounds where the ring represents a path to a better life. This creates a hunger and drive that's hard to match. The small size of Puerto Rico means that every champion becomes a national hero, inspiring the next generation of fighters to follow in their footsteps. The island's boxing gyms are filled with young talent, all driven by the dream of becoming the next Tito Trinidad or Wilfredo Gomez. Puerto Rican fighters are known for the discipline, dedication, and technical prowess, qualities that have allowed them to punch above the weight of the world stage. It's a testament to the island's deep love for boxing and the warrior spirit of its people. Section 6. The cultural roots of bravery and relentlessness. What is it about the cultures of Mexico and Puerto Rico that produces such brave and relentless fighters? For both nations, boxing is more than just a sport. It's a reflection of their history and culture. In Mexico, the tradition of the warrior is a powerful influence. Mexican fighters embody the spirit of their ancestors who fought bravely against all odds. That Aztec warrior mentality, my friends. This warrior mentality is ingrained from a young age, driving Mexican boxers to push through pain and adversity in the ring. This is what's lacking about Canelo Alvarez, I could tell you. That's why they don't see him as a great Mexican warrior, even his own people. In Puerto Rico, the history of struggle and resilience shapes the island's fighters. Puerto Ricans have a deep sense of national pride, and boxing is seen as a way to assert their identity on the global stage. This pride fuels their determination to succeed no matter the odds. Both cultures also place a strong emphasis on honor and respect. In the ring, this translates to fighters who give everything they have, refusing to quit or back down. It's this combination of cultural pride, historical influence, and sheer willpower that makes Mexican and Puerto Rican fighters some of the bravest and most relentless in the world. Section 7. The Canelo versus Berlanga controversy. Now, let's talk about the latest controversy in the Puerto Rico versus Mexico rivalry. There's a fight brewing between Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanga, and it's being promoted as a classic Mexico versus Puerto Rico matchup. Yeah, sure. But let's be real. Most native Puerto Ricans aren't buying it. Here's why. Edgar Berlanga, while he may have Puerto Rican heritage, wasn't born or raised on the island. His culture is more Americanized, unlike legends like Tito Trinidad and Miguel Cotto, who embody the true spirit of Puerto Rican boxing. Berlanga's connection to the island is tenuous at best, and he doesn't carry the same cultural weight as other Puerto Rican fighters who are deeply rooted in the island's traditions. But it's not just about where Berlanga was born. If that was all, we wouldn't care. The real issue is that Berlanga isn't considered an elite fighter. He's never faced top-level opponents, and his resume is filled with names that don't resonate with fans who expect their champions to take on the best. Puerto Rican boxing fans are some of the most knowledgeable in the sport, and they're not falling for this marketing gimmick. This fight is being sold as a Mexico versus Puerto Rico showdown, because Canelo Alvarez continues to avoid the best fighter at 168 pounds, David Benavidez. Instead of facing the top contender, Canelo is choosing an easier route by fighting Berlanga. But Puerto Rican fans see through this, and they're not fooled by the attempt to manufacture a rivalry that doesn't truly exist. Puerto Rican fans, known for their deep understanding of the sport, see this for what it is: a distraction, an easy payday, and an attempt to sidestep a true challenge. They're not falling for it, and many feel that this isn't a real Puerto Rico versus Mexico fight. For them, a true Puerto Rican warrior would have the resume, the battles, and the cultural connection that Berlanga simply doesn't possess. Section 8. The cultural makeup of boxing powerhouses. So what is the cultural makeup of Puerto Rico and Mexico that makes these countries such powerful entities in the sport of boxing? First, it's important to understand that both nations have a deep-rooted connection to boxing as a way to express national pride and identity. For both Puerto Ricans and Mexicans, boxing is more than just a sport. It's a representation of their people's strength, resilience, and courage. In Puerto Rico, boxing is intertwined with the island's struggle for recognition and respect on the global stage. Puerto Ricans have always had to prove themselves, and boxing became a way to assert their presence. The island fighters carried the weight of this history with them into the ring, fighting not just for themselves but for the pride of an entire nation. This creates an atmosphere where the stakes are incredibly high and where every punch thrown is imbued with a sense of purpose and determination. In Mexico, boxing is seen as a continuation of the warrior tradition. The country has a long history of fighters who are willing to go to war in the ring, displaying courage and heart that is admired worldwide. Mexican fighters are celebrated for their toughness and the ability to endure, qualities that resonate deeply with the nation's pride. When a Mexican fighter steps inside the ring, oh, watch out. They do so with the knowledge that they are carrying the legacy of legends before them, and this drives them to give everything they have. Both countries also place a significant emphasis on family and community. When a fighter wins, it's not just about their victory, it's a victory for their family, their neighborhood, and their entire nation. This collective support system creates a strong foundation for the fighters, giving them the strength to persevere through the toughest challenge. The fanatical support that fighters receive in both Puerto Rico and Mexico further fuels this passion. Whether it's a massive parade in San Juan or a hero's welcome in Mexico City, these fighters are treated like national heroes. The love and adoration they receive from their fans is a powerful motivator, pushing them to achieve greatness in the ring. Section 9. A real Mexico versus Puerto Rico showdown. Pitbull Cruz versus Matias. While the potential fight between Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanga may not satisfy the true spirit of the Mexico versus Puerto Rico rivalry, there's another matchup on the horizon that could reignite the flames of this storied competition. A bout between Mexico's Isaac Pitbull Cruz and Puerto Rico's Matias. Both Cruz and Matias have earned their reputation as ferocious fighters with a relentless approach in the ring. They've shown that they're willing to go toe-to-toe with anyone, and their fighting styles guarantee action-packed, fan-friendly bouts. After their respective losses, Cruz to Rayo Valenzuela and Matias to Amparo, a clash between these two warriors is not only logical, but it could also deliver the kind of excitement that both Mexican and Puerto Rican boxing fans crave. This is the one we would like to see. This is real Mexico versus Puerto Rico, not Berlanga versus Canelo Alvarez. Nobody buys that. Isaac Cruz, known for his aggressive pressure fighting style, has become a favorite among Mexican boxing fans. Pitbull is well deserved as he fights with the tenacity and the fearlessness of the breed. Cruz's performance against Gervonta Davis, despite being a loss, only enhanced his reputation as a warrior who never backed down regardless of the odds. On the other hand, Matias is a fighter with heavy hands and a relentless pursuit of victory. Known for his power and willingness to exchange punches, Matias has become a symbol of Puerto Rican pride in the ring. His recent loss to Amparo was a setback, but it's far from the end for this journey. In fact, it could serve as a catalyst for him to come back stronger and more determined than ever. I demand a fight between Pitbull Cruz and Matias. This would be a true representation of the Mexico versus Puerto Rico rivalry. Two nations, two warriors, one ring. Unlike this manufactured matchups we discussed, this fight makes sense on every level. Both fighters are in the same weight class. Both are looking to bounce back from tough losses, and both have the styles that could produce fireworks. From a marketing standpoint, this fight could be promoted as a clash of cultures, a battle between two proud nations with a rich history of boxing excellence. Their narratives are already there. Cruz representing the warrior spirit of Mexico, and Matias embodying the unbreakable will of Puerto Rico. Fans for both countries would rally behind their fighters, turning this matchup into a must-see event. This would actually be a pay-per-view event. I have no doubt. My doubt is that Pitbull Cruz, who has shown his true colors after losing to Rayo Valenzuela and being arrogant, not accepting his defeat, while Matias, came out and accepted his defeat in a humble way. That's what a man does, all right? But Pitbull Cruz has been kind of flaky and trying to choose low hanging fruits like he thought that Rayo Valenzuela was. But for their next fight, Pitbull Cruz, if he's a real man, if he's the real warrior that Mexico is was expecting with that Pitbull mania and all that other stuff and the murals and everything that went on in Mexico, and I had called it here in this channel many times before that Pitbull was going to be a one-hit wonder because he fought a C-level mediocre so-called paper champion in Rolly Romero. So let's continue. Moreover, this fight has the potential to rejuvenate both fighters' careers. A victory for the Cruz or Matias could catapult them back into the conversation as top contenders in their division. The stakes are high, and that's exactly what makes this fight so appealing. It's not just about national pride, but about redemption, legacy, and the chance to prove themselves as one of the boxing biggest stage. In conclusion, the prospect of a Pitbull Cruz versus Uriel Matias fight is exactly what the Mexico versus Puerto Rico rivalry needs right now. It's a matchup that offers real stakes, real competition, and a real opportunity for both fighters to reclaim their place at the top. This is the kind of fight that would once again showcase why Mexico and Puerto Rico have long been two of the most respected boxing nations in the world. While other fights might be hyped up based on name value alone, this is the one that true boxing fans should be excited about. It's the kind of matchup that embodies the spirit of the Mexico versus Puerto Rico rivalry. Two warriors representing their countries with pride, stepping inside the ring to settle the score. So, my friends, let's hope this fight gets made. And when it does, you can bet your ass that the fans from both sides will be tuning in, cheering on their fighters and celebrating another chapter in the legendary Mexico versus Puerto Rico rivalry. Well, thank you again for joining us on Inside the Ropes with Coach Mario. Coach Mario, owner and head coach of Warriors 5 Boxing Academy here in Miami, Florida. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and put your thoughts on the comments section about this potential matchup. Who do you think would come out on top? Pitbull Cruz or Uriel Matias? Let us know. But until next time, this is Coach Mario saying hasta la vista. God bless you all and peace.